Hello everyone.
To discuss today is that reasoning. So reasoning is nothing but is a set of process. So as we know about that, the process is nothing but the reasoning. It have a give a capability of giving the judgment. So judgment is nothing but we are enhancing the decision making capability in the machines. So that is we considering for the reasoning. So also I mentioned what is the decision making. So reasoning is nothing but it's a set of process actually that is enables us to provide right for the basis of like what is the requirements to give the judgment, or it has to be given for like decision making, or it might be a prediction. So majorly we have two broadly classification is that inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So there itself I will go for differentiate what is that inductive and what do you mean by deductive reasoning. So the inductive reason is saying that it has to go in for specific observation and it should be go for the general statements. So we will discuss with an example now. Suppose take an example is Mohan is a student, right? So Mohan is very studious in the study. So therefore we can conclude that all the students are the studious. So that is saying that even if all the premises are true in a statements, inductive reasoning allows for the conclusion to be false, right? So that is going for from specific to broad general statement is an inductive reasoning. So then what is deductive reasoning? The deductive reasoning is nothing but actually it starts with the general statement and examines, validate the possibility to reach a specific or it might be logical conclusion. That is saying that we can give the conclusion what that all men of age above 70 years will treated as a grandfathers. Right? This is general statement. Suppose we are saying that Kumar is have 75 years. Okay, so there I can conclude that Kumar is the grandfather. So that is saying that we are examining the possibility to reach the specific one from general to specific, and that's why we are saying that if something is true of a class of things in a general, it is also true for all the members of the classes. Inductive reasoning saying that what it is saying that from specific to general is an inductive. Deductive reason is saying that it is nothing but it is general to specific. It is also examining to give the conclude of the specific. Okay, next is that learning. So learning is nothing but is one of the essential component in a machine. So what is an essential means? It has to be enhance an intelligence in a machine like a human means. The learning it will play a vital role there. So learning is nothing but it's an activity of gaining a knowledge. It's an activity of gaining a knowledge. To we need to gain the knowledge, so that is a process we known as a learning. So by you can go for learning by studying. You can studying also can get a knowledge, that is learning. You might be practicing, sometimes it requires the practicing, then only also you're getting a knowledge, or being a thought, something has to teach someone else, that moment also you are gaining a knowledge like a teachers. And it might be a experience, right? So the different ways we can learn the things, that is a gaining a knowledge we known as a so learning. So we need to enhance this one in a machines, right? So that is we are saying that the ability of learning is possessed like by humans. Like I need to AI enabled system also. So based on that we are going for the categorization. So that is we are saying that learning categorization. So there we have a first one is that auditory learning. So the auditory learning is saying that by listening, either you can say that by listening or hearing. So something you're going for, like you can by hearing or the listening, you'll learn something, right? Suppose you can take an example like a record lectures, lecturing. Okay, you can also take it this one. Suppose I'm just delivering my lecturing and just record it, right? You can listen the lecturing and you can learn it. So that is saying that it's the auditory learning. So episodic learning is saying that it is a kind of what? It's a sequence of events. Is a sequence of events. So the sequence of events we are going to what that one has witnessed for experience, right? That is we are linearly, orderly, we are going to learning. Okay, next is that motor learning. So the motor learning is saying that suppose for an example, I'm like to train the machine to picking like objects, right? Also we known as what, like picking objects. So that moment as a human we need to utilize the muscles, right? So that is we known as is a motor learning. So next is that observational learning. So observational learning is nothing but either watching, right, and imitating. We'll take it as what, observational learning. Especially I will take an example like child will mimic like a parents, right? It might be, it will be whatever they use a word, they will try to mimic like that only, right? So that is we known as an observational learning. So next is that we have is a perceptual learning. So perceptual learning is nothing but it actually is a recognize of stimulate, right? It's a recognizing the stimulate that one has seen before. So that is we know what, it's nothing but recognize a stimulate that one has seen before. So that is we known as is a perceptual learning. It is nothing but identifying, classifying an object. The long before I seen an elephant, so now if I see the elephant as an object, I need to mention it, it's an elephant, right? So that is we known as a perceptual learning. And next is that we have a relational learning. So relational learning is saying that it has to learning in a different sheet, like among various. For an example, we are taking an example like cooking. So that moment we are going forward adding little less like salt at the time. So when we are going like cooking the potatoes, right? So that moment you need to measure that one, right? After that cooked with adding a, say that a tablespoon of salt is there, right? So when you add before itself while boiling or while cooking itself, that moment the potato also releasing the salt. So in the last it will be become a salty. To avoid that one, after the boiled or cooking of cooked off the potatoes, later you can add the what is that salt, it will be what is that it, the measurement is good, right? So that is saying that in a various I need to go for what, a differentiate, right? So that is we known as a relational learning. The spatial learning. The spatial learning is nothing but is a visual learning. So we are going to through the images or you can through the different kind of colors you are using, right? So that is whenever we need to learn the things like from like this object, we known as a spatial learning. Best example you can go for like roadmap. Roadmap is an example. The next one is that we have is a stimulus response learning. So it is nothing but it is based on the particular behavior. Actually what? Based on the particular behavior we are going to react for that, right? So that is we known as is a stimulus response learning, right? Suppose for an example you can go for the dog is there, right? For an example, dog is there, automatically rises its ear when. So actually when means on, when means when he hearing the doorbell, when hearing the doorbell, right? So that moment it will keep quiet only, but when he heard when the dog gets hear about like a doorbell, automatically the dog what is that ear, it will be rises, right? So that is that based on that behavior we are going to give the response, that is the current situation acting. So that is we known as a stimulus response learning. Okay, next we are going to understand that what is the difference between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. Still, we are discussing human intelligence should be has to be what is that create in a machine. So that is we known as an artificial intelligence. Actually, what is the difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence? The first difference I will take here the learning capability. So, what do you mean by learning capability in AI means actually it will be learn the data, like for an example whatever I train a data set, right? Or it might be through the algorithm it will be learning, right? So that is we known as what is the learning ability of the AI. So then what is the learning ability of the human? Human learning ability is nothing but it might be learn from the data like through the experience, right? Or you can go for like understanding the concepts what you are learning right now through the understanding, right? So that is one of the difference we can take it. The second one is that speed and accuracy. As per the AI, it is very fast, right? It will be process the information at a very fast with a high accuracy. Accuracy is nothing but the correctness validation, right? Accuracy is nothing but we are taking that the correctness of the answer, that is very high. So what about the human? Actually human maker sometimes will take a more time, and also he might be a commit an errors. Why he commit an errors? Might be a distractions, right? He might be a taken also will might be a distraction also getting a, for example the 14 digits it is multiplying with the 14 digits, that moment computer will take the result or take the numbers and quickly give the result for that, right, in exact result. But as per the human it will take a long time and possibly will give the wrong answer because of this distractions, right? And also we known as a creativity. So as we know about in AI is a very limited creativity. You can mention ChatGPT is generating the things that have high creativity, right? That is not that it is a depending on the existing data it is creating. That is what we can say that it's a depends on existing data. So that is a creativity of the what is that artificial intelligence. But the human intelligence is a very high creativity. We can actually can generate new ideas. Generate what? New ideas. Why I'm saying that you can mention ChatGPT things. That is actually what is that? It will reduce our creativity. Actually, human have a highly created generate new ideas because whatever you're seeing the logo, software, everything is what will creating. That is by the human only, right? So that is we are taking the generate new ideas is a majorly it is by the human intelligence it have, but only the limited is an artificial intelligence. The emotions and empathy. Actually, this is the major drawback of the AI. Actually, there is no, it doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have any emotions actually. That is a major drawback still we are facing. We are trying to fill the gap in a fifth generation, right? But humans definitely have a what is that emotions and as well as empathy. And additionally, we should understand that one more it have, that is social understanding. So based on the what is that social or the society, he can able to react it, he can able to accept it, right? So that is we known as a major we have. The drawback is an emotions. It the as we know about robotics doesn't contain any kind of emotions. So next we have a decision making. So in the AI we have a decision making is there, but the decision making it is depends on might be a logic whatever we updated, or it might be a data, or it might be an algorithm what we train it for the machine. So based on that only it is can able to take a decisions. But what about the humans? Humans you can able to take through the experience, right? through the experience he will take a decision. Our emotions, sometimes experience is also there, but if we have an emotion that is a, has to be matter while taking a decisions, or it might be what here the logic is applying, it might be a experience emotion, but the machines only it is depending on, it might be what we train the logics is there in a computer lab, what is that programming, or what we are training data is there, and what is the model we are trained. So based on that they are capable of decision making. These are the major difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. We are trying to what is that to create the human intelligence in a machines. So thank you.